Okay, so we're going to look at trigonometry and give you an idea, hopefully, of an easy step through how to label the sides, then calculate what the potential missing angles and then missing sides are. So, the first and most important thing is trigonometry can only be used, the SOH-CAH-TOA trigonometry can only be used on a right angled triangle. So if it's not a right angled triangle, you can't use trigonometry, you have to use the sine rule. Okay, we're not going to look at the sine rule today, but we're just going to look at right angled triangles and using SOH-CAH-TOA. SOH-CAH-TOA relates to the trigonometric ratios that are listed up here. So the SOH is sine of the angle equals the opposite divided by the hypotenuse. Cosine of the angle equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse, and the tangent of the angle equals opposite divided by adjacent. So the most important thing at this point is to label the triangle correctly. So wherever the right angle comes in the triangle, okay, the side that is directly opposite the right angle, okay, is the always longest side, and that's going to be a hypotenuse. So the longest side is always opposite the right angle. Okay, and that's the easiest one to start off with. Look where your right angle is, find the side that is the other side of the triangle from the right angle, that's your hypotenuse. Then come to your angle that they give you, and they'll always give you an angle, or they'll give you an x that you need to find. So we need to find this angle, so that's the angle that they want you to find. So from that angle, you're going to draw a line from there to the opposite side, the side that is furthest away from the angle, and that, as it says, is the opposite. So that's opposite the angle. And the one side that's left is the adjacent. And the reason they call it the adjacent is because it's next to and touches the side of, it's adjacent to the angle that they give you. So that's the adjacent. So we've got the hypotenuse, the opposite, and the adjacent. Now, looking at these ratios at the top here, if I wanted to use sine, I'm going to use opposite divided by hypotenuse. If I want to find the cosine, I'm going to use adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So that's going to be adjacent divided by hypotenuse. And if I want to find the tangent, I'm going to find opposite divided by adjacent. Okay, so they're the three ratios. There's three sums that I would do to try and find this out. So, bringing the calculator up, I'm going to just quickly do that. If I know what the side is, okay, and in this case I do, so I'm going to do 3 divided by 5 gives me 0.6, as that answer is in there. Okay, looking at the next one, I've got adjacent divided by hypotenuse, so the adjacent I've got 4, so I've got 4 divided by 5 gives me 0.8. So I know the answer on here is going to be 0.8. Okay, and then on the tangent I've got the opposite, which is 3, and I divide by the adjacent, and 3/4 is going to be 0.75. So I'm able to work out this part, one side of the equals. Now if I use the sine and the angle that they gave me, they should equal the same thing as this. Okay, so let's have a look. You can see sine is on your calculator just here, and then cos, and then tan. So if I want the sine of the angle, okay, so I've got sine of 36.87 equals sine 36.87 equals 0.6, and that's the same as we've got here. Okay, so if I go back up the top there, and instead of sine, we're going to say I want the cos of 36.87. I've got 0.8. I would round to 0.8. Okay, And again, if I have the tan of 36.87, I've got 0.75. So hence the sine of the angle is going to be equal to whatever the opposite divided by the hypotenuse is. The cosine of the angle is going to be equal to the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, and so on. Okay? Let's look at the first question. Here we've got 3 and 10. So if we try and think what we did, so find where your right angle is. Okay, look for the side that is opposite the right angle. Okay, so that's going to be my hypotenuse. Now I'm going to look at, that's the angle I want. So straight away from there, that is going to be my opposite. And then finally, the side that's left is the adjacent. Now, we've labelled the triangle correctly, so we're looking to find which ratio I need. And if you think the word SOH-CAH-TOA, and I'm going to bring this down and try and use this, okay, what do I know? What do I know about it? Or what don't I know, more to the fact? Do I know the opposite? Yes, I do. I know the opposite, so I could use the opposite. Yeah. Do I know the hypotenuse? Yes, I do. They give me that, so I could use the hypotenuse. Okay. Do I know anything about the adjacent? No, I don't. So I can't use the adjacent. So I can't use that, and I can't use that. So straight away, I know I need to use sine. And that's how you select it. You select it using the sides that you know. So in that case, I know the opposite, I know the hypotenuse, and I need to find the angle. So the ratio I'm going to use is sin. So I know it's going to be sin. Okay. The calculation. Well, I'm going to use opposite, divide by hypotenuse. So what's the answer? Well, the opposite is 3, divide by 10. So 3 divided by 10, and that's going to equal 0.3. Now to find the angle, bringing the calculator up, okay, I need to find the sine of the angle. So I'm going to find the sine, but because the sine is on this side of the equals, I need to do the opposite. So if you can see at the top, there's sine minus 1 in beige there, okay, in orange. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to press the shift key, sine, which will give me sine minus 1, and I'm going to put either 3 divided by 10, if we do it as I would do it. Okay, I'm going to put the two sides in there, opposite divide by hypotenuse equals, so the size of that angle is going to be 17.457 and so on. So 17.457 and some oddments, and if I round it to 1 decimal place, I'm going to round that to 17.521 decimal place. Okay, because the 5 would round the 4 up. So again, thinking what we've done, if I need to find an angle, it is always sine minus 1, cos minus 1, tan minus 1. So I'd have to press shift and these keys to find out what that would be. And I just put into my equation the fraction key with the two sides. In this case, opposite divide by hypotenuse. Okay. So if you want to have a go at these two, I'll pause the video and then see how you get on. Okay, so here's your answers. So first off, we've got cosine, it's CAH, cosine equals adjacent divided by hypotenuse. So cos minus 1, which gives me 8 divided by 10, adjacent divided by hypotenuse, 8 divided by 10. I can put that all into the calculator, and if you want to, shift cos 8 divided by 10 equals 36.869 and some oddments. And if I'm rounding to one decimal place, the 6 will round the 8 up to 36.9. Remember, it's degrees, and we've rounded it to one decimal place, so we have to put that. The second one here, I'm using tan because I've got adjacent and opposite. And again, if you were struggling to do this bit, remember that's my hypotenuse. The second one is my opposite, and this is my adjacent. So I've got the adjacent, I've got the opposite, I don't know the hypotenuse. So if you think if we had SOH-CAH-TOA, okay, I haven't got anything to do with the hypotenuse at all, so I can't use that one, and I can't use that one, so straight away it's telling me I need to use TOA. Okay, and the answer would be 26.6, and hopefully you can see the workings at the bottom. Okay. If we need to find a missing side, we're going to go on to that next. Okay, it's exactly the same process, and there are 3 to do here. So again, I'll do the first one, leave you to do the other 2. The first one, again, put the right angle. Excuse my bad drawing. Hypotenuse, opposite, adjacent. Okay, they want me to find the opposite, so I need this one. That's the one I'm finding. Okay, so what do I need to do? Well, I know I need the opposite, and I know I need the hypotenuse. So straight away it's telling me I need sine. I don't need the adjacent, so I can't use this, and I can't use this. So I'm going to use sine. So it's sin, or SOH tells you exactly what we're going to do. I'm going to find sine of, and this time they give me the angle, so it's 36.87. Okay, and that equals the opposite, which I don't know, divided by 5. Okay, so if I need to find what the opposite is on its own, I've got to get rid of that 5. Okay, so if I want to get rid of that 5, I've got to do the inverse of it, and I've got to multiply it. So if I times this side, times it by 5. Okay, so times it by 5 this side. I have to do the same thing this side. So I'm timesing both of them by 5. Times it by 5. That will cancel with the 5 and just leave me my opposite. So what do I end up with? Sine 36.87 times by 5. So that's what I'll put into the calculator. Sine of 36.87, close bracket, and I'm going to times that by 5, and that's going to give me 3.00000. So length of the side is going to be 3 centimeters to 1 to nearest whole number. Okay, which we can see that from the picture up here. We know it's 3. Okay, pause the video and then have a go at the other 2. Okay, as you can see here, we've got cos, and the sum is in the calculator. Cos of 36.87 equals the adjacent divided by the hypotenuse, and we've moved the number 5, the times by 5 across to get rid of the 5, so we've just got the adjacent on its own, and the answer is 4 centimeters. Okay, so looking at this one, you can see everything's exactly the same. The only difference is when we've got the hype on the bottom, we can swap these two sides over and gives you the answer of